There's so many things. The man who wears many hats and infuses Afro jazz with traditional Kalindula rhythms. From his early beginnings in Mukushi to becoming respected figure in Zambia's alternative music scene. If you want some new school Kalindula, you have to look out for James Sakala, most definitely. He has collaborated with a lot of regional legends like the likes of Oliver Mtukuzi and worked with modern producers such as El Mukuka, and showing his versatility across generations as well as styles beyond the music. He has also been recognized for addressing important issues as well, like mental health through art. We have all been introduced to his music in one way or the other.
Yes, that is true. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is definitely an honor to have you. And now I would say let's start up with your background. I think for all those, I'm sure you've said the story so many times, but for all of those who are hearing it for the very first time, walk us through how you fell into music. What led you there?
Okay, so the year is 2006. I am actively performing with the drama group. Doing a lot of sensitization around Mukushi, community mobilization. So we did a lot of projects about HIV and AIDS, water and sanitation, and a lot more. So then Chameleon comes to Mukushi to perform for the first time with a band. And because most of my friends would see me play guitar and sing most of Chameleon's songs, they managed to push me onto the stage to sing one of Chameleon's songs for Chameleon. Yeah. And I won a CD that day, and also I won a friend who is Chameleon. And he said, you know what, come to Lusaka, let's see how we can help you because you're very good. So I travel here, I think like 4 months after that, I come here, and unfortunately the day I get here, he's not here. He's in Mumbwa. So he directs me to his producer, Charlie Bravo. Rest in peace, Charlie. So I go to Charlie Bravo, and Charlie says, you know what, I don't think you are ready to be an artist to record. But what you can do is, you can work with Chameleon as his backup singer, as you learn to be a full artist. So that's how I became his backup singer. And years after that, met a few people here and there. Christo Sean introduced me to Lukundo. Lukundo is Superman, Chef is manager. And Lukundo had a studio in Villa Elizabeth in town with his friend John Abanda. It was called Unique Records. That's how they signed me, and I started learning music production. Before I started recording my own music. Music production, I was being trained by Drex. Then 2010, I left that studio and joined Lukundo because he started his own studio now. Well, let's call him Superman because that's the name that people use. So he started a studio called So Good Entertainment. I know you've heard of it. So that studio had Sauma under the label, Scarlett, 2-1, Roy Mbazima, we used to call him 5-4. A lot of people, especially rappers. That studio had a lot of rappers. It was like an academy for rappers. So I became the main producer there, and also sound engineer. And I worked at that studio up to 2014. That's how I left and went to Blazer Studios, and I got signed as an artist. Stroke producer, but mostly as an artist. And I started recording my first album. So from 2014, my first album only came out in 2017. And obviously, between 2014 and 2017, a lot of things happened. I got a chance to perform at the Stanbic Music Festival, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but you know, more. I got a chance to travel around Southern Africa. I met the late Dr. Oliver Mtukuzi. A lot of things happened. Yeah.
Do you think possibly the fact that, you know how they say that delay is not denial, but do you think the fact that you started with production first, understanding the behind the scenes, has helped make you the artist you are now?
Yes, definitely. I actually appreciate that I had to be a producer under a producer for quite some time, for a long time, because I learned a lot of things. I learned that an artist has to have patience, because if you want to be a true artist, it shouldn't fall in place at once. You should build yourself into it, and you should learn everything step by step. So I'm an artist who knows how to engineer my own vocals, engineer even other people that I'm working with. I know how to play instruments. I know how to record instruments. I know how to mix and master, but I don't do it because I believe that when you're working on a big project, you have to involve other people, you know what I mean? But all that helps me because my understanding for what I do is broad. Yeah.
Now, somebody raised a conversation on X saying that when it comes to live performances, we only see much of them being gospel artists.
Yeah.
They are the best live performers, but you are one of the best live performers we have in the country. So how did your early experiences performing live shape your identity to what you're doing now? And I think I prefer your live performances. So.
Oh, for real? It was something that I would call, something that was forced on me, because remember I said I became Chameleon's backup singer. Yes. So mostly we would do miming, go lip sync, whatever. We go to Mumbai, we go to Nakonde, whatever. Mostly those people would get us to just go and mime to a CD. You know what I mean? But when I left. When I left Chameleon and joined that studio, Drake started teaching me how to play guitar. I knew a little bit, but then he started teaching me how to have confidence to play guitar. And he's the one that told me that I had a nice voice. When I sing live, I sounded very good. So he encouraged me to pursue that direction. It was tough because that time, it wasn't common to see an artist performing live. That time, miming was very big, you know, pulo, that, you know what I mean? Like, it was cool, actually, to mime than to perform live. So every artist who was coming up or every artist who was joining the music industry, they just saw themselves miming and, you know, having a certain bounce on stage that makes them look cool, you know. But I'm lucky because some of the people that I met in my early stage of being an artist encouraged me to pursue live music. And I think that has really helped me because now I'm an advantage, you know, because a lot of people now struggle, you know, especially when it comes to bookings. A lot of companies, corporate events now, they want you to come and perform live. You've seen even hip-hop artists now, they perform live with a band, you know what I mean? The likes of Chef 187, I've seen him 1,000 times performing with a band. I've seen Slap D, even Mac 2, you know, Dismo, you know, so things are changing, especially with this AI which is coming now. You need to have extra bullets in your chamber, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Now you have brought up a very good conversation of how artists now need to start performing live more oftenly. Yeah. It's a very huge culture in Malawi, them performing live. Like, yeah, they prefer that.
It's true actually.
But in Zambia, you have been in the industry for a long time. How far are we in performing live performances, and do you think we need to do more, or which direction do we need to do so that we reach at a level where every artist needs to perform live when there is need for them to do that?
And they'll perform live well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. So I was actually when she was asking her question, I was actually thinking about what you've mentioned. It's one thing to perform live, and it's another to perform it well. You know, there's a lot of people now jumping into live performances without an understanding, and you find that it becomes noise. Too much noise. A lot of people just think you just need to have a band. They need to learn your songs without proper rehearsals. Then you go and perform. So in Zambia, we have a culture that doesn't encourage artists to go for rehearsals. I don't know, for some reason, people feel like Nishiteba star, you know what I mean? Like, you're not being a star if you attend rehearsals. I know quite a number of big artists who, you know, when they have a booking, the band will be rehearsing alone with a music director. And the artist doesn't come for rehearsals. And the artist will only attend 2 rehearsals and they go do a show. But then you can see that the band is not connecting with the artist. So the reason why we rehearse is so we can keep that connection constant and, growing, because that connection should grow. Every time it has to grow. This is why I'll give you an example. People like Fali Ipupa, even when you wake him up today, he will kill it. But he always finds time to rehearse with his band. Yes. Every time. And you know how much time they spend on rehearsals? From 9 to 9. Congolese. They will cook food at the rehearsals, they will drink water, whatever they need. Yeah. So when you give them a stage, my friend, they will kill it. Yeah. Because I always tell people that a performance happens when you are rehearsing. When you get on stage now to showcase, you are just replaying what you've been working on. So you need to build a culture as an artist to make sure that you are putting in enough time in a rehearsal. And that's what we do. This is why when you give me a booking as James Sakala, I can assure you that if you book me alone with my guitar, I'll make you dance. If you book me with a full band, I'll make you dance. Yeah, because I put in time. Even alone, I sit and rehearse for 2-3 hours alone with my guitar.
Sorry to cut you off, Shekinah. One of the conversations that also we did interview a Malawian artist who did tell us that he was in an academy where they were teaching them music. I believe for you to hone your skill, you need to learn, they said 10,000 hours for you to invest in it? Yes. So is there a need for Zambians to have an academy where music is taught, production is taught, all of these things is taught? Because I only see it being prominent in labels. Unless there's a label, then there you can learn the ins and outs of how things work. You are able to produce your own music, but then there are a lot of artists who are not able to do the same. They can just sing. Some are taught how to write as well, how to produce, how to do a lot of things. So what do you think needs to be done to make sure that probably maybe in the future we see an academy where we also now see them learning how to perform live, good live performances?
Yeah, definitely. Because listen, in Zambia we don't have academies, music academies. I mean, there's music schools like Ngomadoche and a few others at Evelyn Horn as well. They teach music there, but it's not at a professional level. You know what I mean? It's like it's you know what I mean? Yeah. In Zimbabwe, I know there's academies, there's art centers, and there's schools where they will teach you to a degree level. You know what I mean? Yes. And that happens in a lot more other countries, like Congo. Fali Ipupa was at a school. Okay. When you graduate at that school where he was, say university for music, when you graduate, you are given it's like an ID. Okay. That ID, you pay for it every year, like membership. That's what allows you to perform professionally anywhere in Congo and even beyond Congo, in the Francophone market, you know. In Zambia, we don't have that. Now, that is what causes to separate people who are not serious from people who are serious. That thing. So we need something like that in Zambia. We need to set up something like that in Zambia so that now the market can start to head somewhere. Right now, we have a lot of talent, but the talent that we have is inborn talent. People just discover they can sing, or maybe they learned from choir, church, then they start recording their own music. There's no academy. I had a chance to be mentored by the late Dr. Oliver Mtukudzi. You know, he taught me a lot of things. He was like my father, my musical father, and he taught me a lot of things about music, performances, and whatever. And that's why maybe I am this good. You know what I mean? I have confidence to say that because I know, you know. But a lot of people don't have that chance. And we are not saying they are down or they are not serious. No, it's because they just don't have a chance. But what should we do? You know, we shouldn't end at becoming too big and think everyone else is not serious. No. If you are big and you are doing well in music, it should be a mandate that you should include or contribute in the improving of our industry. How can we do that? Identify young people that you can start mentoring. You know, if you have enough money, pay for them to attend academies, workshops, whatever you can do. I've got young people that I help. Well, not financially, obviously, but whenever I can, I do. You know what I mean? But also just my knowledge I share with them. I mention their names in places. I recommend them for bookings, and they are doing very fine. You know what I mean? I don't know if I should mention some of them, but
yes,
I mean,
you can.
So there's Roy the songster, and I know you know the name. He's one of the most promising artists right now in Zambia. There's Evans Ndalama. He's also one of the most promising artists right now in Zambia. And you can see that these people are going somewhere because they have where to fall on. You know what I mean? Everyone needs that. You need to have someone mentoring you for you to be someone. That's just how life is. You can't do it on your own. Yes, there's people who can say, because I've worked hard on my own. Yes, we agree. But it's not everyone that can manage to do that. And you also, if you've managed to do it alone, don't just leave everyone because you did it alone and everyone else has to do it alone. No. Identify people that you can help, Until then, now we can say Zambia can properly go kuchalo. Because apart from that, I can't mention any other thing that can help this industry improve from where it is right now. Yeah. But keep in mind, there's too much talent in Zambia to compete anywhere in the world. Yeah.
Once again, do remember you can be part of our conversation. Send us a message. Call us up. That is on 0961-690-487 or even on 0955-997-997 or on 0979-192-485. In studio with us, we do have one of Zambia's most distinctive musical voices. That is James Sakala, who's also known as the Zambezi Griot. And if you'd like to ask him a question, once again, like I did say, call us up on 0961-690-487 or on 0955-997-997 or on 0979-192-485. And now back to you, Mr. James Sakala. We did play a little bit earlier on one of your songs from your latest album. There was even a whole album launch, if I said listening party.
Yeah.
So walk us through the title of the album, Songs of Solomon. What happened? Were you just reading it and you're like, I need to write an album about this? How did that come about?
Okay, so I like to work on themed projects. So when I'm working on a project, even if it's an album or EP, whatever, I've never really dropped an EP before. I had decided to drop an EP before this album, but then I changed my mind and decided to work on an album. So I work on themed projects. So this one, the theme was love. And I told myself, I said, I want to work on a love project that celebrates love in its purest form, A lot of times we've heard love albums where an artist will have a song where they are complaining, sorry. I know there's someone who has a song by that title, that's not my reference, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? For this album, I said, you know what? Let me get inspiration from the first chapters of the book of Songs of Songs, which is Songs of Solomon. And obviously, I decided to call it Songs of Solomon. Yeah, but we added an I at the end. Songs of Solomon, so that we bring it home, Ni mwana wa amalume wanga wala onkala pa Sidia, Solomon. Yes. So that's how this album came to being. But then I've been working on it for over 5 years, I like to take time. Yeah.
And so we also saw that there's a good mix of collaborators, if I should say, who've come into the song.
Yeah.
Was it maybe, did you first write a song and think, this person will make a good addition to the song? Or is it rather, let's work on a song together and whatever comes up, comes up? How was it like?
Yeah, so I usually write the music, produce, then the song will ask for a feature. Yeah, that's how I do it. The only song that was created in the studio together with the featuring artist is Kokoma, the one that features Praise Umali, the Malawian artist. Yeah, otherwise, all these other songs, I contacted artists after creating the song. Then I'm like, I think this song needs Chef, or this song needs who, yeah.
And I know people don't like to be asked this, or rather artists don't like to be asked this, but what is your favorite song from the album, at the moment?
Yeah.
Let's just say for today.
Music is like children.
Yeah, still, there's always a favorite even there.
Oh, for real? Okay. Okay, the song that I'm feeling right now is Kokoma. Yeah, the one that features Praise Umali. Shout out to my brother in Malawi. Yeah, that one is the song that I'm enjoying right now. I don't know why, but I think there's just something deep about it. Yeah.
So how do you create your records? Did you record with a live band? And how important were you to achieve the sound? Because you can tell that the man was very articulate and very intentional with what he wanted.
Yeah. So this album wasn't an entirely live recorded album. And it was intentional because my first album was an entirely live recorded album. I worked with the Elect Band on my first album at Blazer Studios. But this one, I decided not to do an entirely live recording because I wanted to include, it was like an experiment for me somehow. Though I know that I wanted what I've achieved, but somehow I wanted to experiment. So for the longest time, I felt like I didn't have a big following on social media. So then I sat down and looked at a few things, and I'm like, okay, maybe my music sounds a bit oldish. Like, you know, when you listen to my first album, you think it's an old man until you meet me. You know, and I get that a lot actually. People tell me, I used to think it's an old man when I listen to your songs. I'm like, no guys, yeah. So for this one I said, you know what, let me work with young producers. Let me allow people to help me create what I'm thinking. I had the direction, I knew what I wanted, but I allowed people to bring in their creativity. So you'll find that on one song I've worked with more than 3 producers. Like for example, there's a song, I think it's a bonus track, Je t'aime. Je t'aime started with a producer called Focus. Focus Beats made what I thought I wanted from him. I got it, I took it to a producer in Mazabuka called Legend Son. He added bass and log drums. I got it and took it to a guitarist, Joshua. He added some guitars that we wanted. I took the whole project and took it to Easy, the producer, for mixing and mastering. But he also added a bit of production. So most of the songs happened, that's what happened to most of the songs. Even that same Kokoma. We started with a producer called Thames, the producer at Control Media. Then I got the project and took it to Mtamula Mwale. I know you know Mtamula, maybe. Do you know Mtamula? Shekinah?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Right. So we took it to Mtamula. Then Mtamula added most of the instruments, actually, the live instruments like keyboards. We recorded guitars from there. We recorded live bass from there. Shout out to my brother Okito. And after that, I took the whole project to Easy Producer for mixing and mastering. So you find that most of the songs, we had more than one person working on the production, mixing and mastering, and, you know, instruments. Someone played guitar, someone played keyboards. You know what I mean? That's how I like to create my music, because I always believe that when you work with a lot of people, you add a lot of emotions to one thing, and it cements the message that you are trying to communicate. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Now, your music often addresses different issues, deep issues. I'm sure that's why they thought you were an old man.
Very old soul.
But on this project, we are just talking about love.
Yes, and there are previous projects that you have done that also introduced me to your music as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, music has a sense of feeling. When you listen to it, you feel what the person was feeling at that particular time.
Yeah.
You're listening to an Adele song, she's talking about sadness, about love, you feel sad.
Yeah.
You are listening to an Amapiano song, it's giving you happiness, you start dancing.
Yeah.
And there's just a feeling of music that comes with it, and the artist as well. But your music addresses mental issues, spirituality as well, which is very deep. How personal are these themes for you sometimes? And when you are doing your music, do you have like a specific topic that you want to raise in? Because in your music, I think you love using Bemba a lot. I understand Bemba very well, so at least I can relate and I can understand that, okay, this is the message that he's trying to send.
Oh, okay. So, you know, the way you speak English, you don't sound like you understand Bemba.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so when you listen to my first album, I addressed a lot of spiritual things, and most people actually thought that like my album was a gospel album. They actually thought I was a gospel artist. You know, I don't categorize myself.
Okay.
You know, I always stand by that. I don't categorize myself. I know people will say, no, you can't be in between. You have to choose whether dark or light.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm a musician. I was called to do music. You know what I mean? So, and then the one thing that you should know is that I make sure that my music doesn't make you do bad things. You know, I preach love, I preach wellness with my music. I try to make sure that my music can heal souls. You know what I mean? Because it's inspired by the fact that I'm a born-again Christian. Yeah. So in my first album, I addressed a lot of spiritual things, including you know, my upbringing, and a lot of things that I sang about in my first album were actually life experiences. You know, Mukampo Kedede is written from what I've gone through. Katina Kakwalesa was written from my conversations with my grandmother, you know.
My favorite actress.
Oh, for real? Yeah. Namfumu was written from my experience. Kasongo was written, it was inspired by Mumbayachi's daughter. Yeah, Kasongo. So that's her name actually. She's Kasongo. Yeah.
Okay.
Miyamo Kasongo. So I wrote about a lot of real life experiences in my first album. This one, yes, we created most of the stories because we just wanted to sing for the lovers, you know, appreciate that woman, you know. Like, you women are special, you know what I mean? Like, we can't do without you women. So, yeah. So this one was inspired by that. But the first album, we sang about a lot of things. And the reason is because I grew up in a home where I was being trained properly. This is why in Ninaulemu, 1, I respect women. 2, I just respect people in general. 3, I respect elderly people. You know, you will never have a problem with me. Pankania ulem. When I wake up, I take 15 minutes to remind myself that I have to respect people out there. Despite who you are, whatever walk of life you're coming from, whatever you do, I respect you. Yeah.
I wish people can go on that mantra. Everyone out there, especially artists.
Yeah.
Now, you also touch on the fact that you don't like doing music that would influence people to do bad things. Of course, you want to preach love.
Yeah.
You want to preach wellness as well in your music.
Yeah.
So when it comes to features, are you very particular with who you collaborate with and the type of music that they do apart from yours, so that when you make music, it won't be, I think, in contrast with what you believe in?
What I believe? Well, I don't judge people. I believe that people wake up and they choose what to do. You know what I mean? I can be sitting here chatting with you guys, preaching about, no, I respect people, shan. Then in a choke, I slapped someone outside there. You know what I mean?
Do you know who I am?
Do you know me? So people decide to do things, you know what I mean? So I don't judge. So, but if I am to jump on a song, I have to make sure that I listen to the song and it aligns with my vision as an artist. If you think about it, actually, I've never thought about this. It's good that you've asked me that question. If you look at most of the artists that I've worked with, like they have a certain level of respect. They carry themselves in a certain way. I've never really paid attention. You know what I mean? Which is a good thing. You know, it means that my spirit is watching even when I'm sleeping. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's watching for me. So when I was coming here, my manager actually received a message. Someone wants to do a song with me. So they went straight into talking about how they are ready to pay, what. Me, money doesn't move me. I want to listen to what you do first before I jump on your song. And I have to listen to the theme of your song. If you don't have, it might be a problem because I don't know what you want to sing. Maybe we can create something together if all that matters to you is just having me on a record. But I always encourage artists to say, when you're approaching an artist, don't look for them because you want to blow. You know, look for them because it's the right time to do a collaboration with them. My first album was going to come out without any collaborations. It only has 2 collaborations, Oliver Mtukudzi and Sir Jones, you know. And it's because from the beginning of my career, one thing that I worked on is confidence. I always encourage young artists, especially those under me, to say, have confidence as an artist. Believe in what you're creating. One thing you should know is that when you create a song, you are the one who is tired of it because you've been listening to it every day. The day is going to come out, people will be hearing it for the first time. So it will have its own audience. It will build from one person to 15 million people loving your music. So always have confidence. Start from somewhere. You know what I mean? The problem is people go in studio looking for a hit song. That's your first song, you want it to hit. It doesn't happen like that. Yes, sometimes it happens. There's people who've dropped one song and it was a big song all over the country, even outside the country. Malawi, Malawi is an extension of Zambia, time. But I mean, it happens, you know, but that's not what you are supposed to be looking for. Make music. One thing artists need to understand is that we are creators. We are created to create. So if you are created to create, don't only look for hit creations. No, create anything. You know, it might be a song to help people cry at Chimbo Chamalilo, at a funeral. In Bemba, they say Chimbo Chamalilo.
I don't know the finishing.
But I thought you said you understand Bemba very well.
I understand Bemba, but
yeah.
I'm saying
so there's songs to help people celebrate birthdays. There's songs to help people celebrate love. You know, different themes. Just sing what comes in your spirit. Don't choose. This is why you find that Mzapezat Manyimbo ya Choka yali 8 from different artists, and everyone is singing almost the same thing because people are looking for hit songs. Don't look for hit songs. Just sing, create. Any song can be a hit song. Yeah.
And just to take you back a little bit, we did get to see, I think that should have been last year, where we did get to have the Radio Christian Voice Music Awards.
Yes.
And it got so much praise for the production level, from start to finish, the pre-show, during the show itself.
Yes.
And it made Zambians contrast with our own local, I would say, secular award shows. So far, what would you say as musicians helped to make the Radio Christian Voice Music Awards the success that it was?
Yeah.
Aside from working with the production managers itself to make sure that this was a proper, I'll say, program or event that either if you are there in person or if you're watching online, you enjoyed it equally. What can you say can we learn on the other end from those who are not in the Christian scene?
The one thing I'll tell you is that Vamulungu, Vimankala organized. You know, that's just the nature of God. He's a very organized God. You know, we've always known that. This is why there has to be sanity in his house. You know what I mean? But apart from that, the gospel industry is out here to improve its standards, whether we have producers from UK or not. The truth is, we always want to build. Oh, I'm saying we. I mean, I'm Christian, so this is why I always say we. We always want to improve, and that's what has helped me in my career as well, because I'm coming from that direction. You know what I mean? I'm inspired by the church. So I always like to make sure that whatever I work on, I beat the standards where I was yesterday. By the way, it's not about competing with anyone. Compete with yourself first, you know? And that's what has helped the gospel music industry. And this is why you find that at the awards, the gospel awards were high standard. Now the statements that they sent out last year after the awards, you know, is going to make things hard for the secular side, because people are now comparing. You know, people have drawn a line. They're like, if you can't beat this, then just don't do it. You know what I mean? So if you are doing awards, to the Kwacha Music Awards, the Ngoma, the Shanshani, please make sure that we raise standards. Sometimes it's not even money, you know, it's mentality. You know, you find that you have sponsors, but you want to spend less so that you know, Musareko and Drama Zambiri, you know. Send out a good picture out there, you know what I mean? So that standards can go up. We cannot go kuchalo. I hear this, Zambia kuchalo, Zambia kuchalo, Zambia will never go kuchalo if we still don't want to think away from the box. I don't like to say outside the box. Why are we still keeping the box nearby? You know what I mean?
Let's throw it away.
Yeah, let's throw it away. Let's try new things. If you saw videos, unfortunately you guys didn't make it to my launch. If you saw videos of what we did, how we
wish we were there.
yeah.
But it was sold out.
Yeah, it was sold out. I mean, what we did at the launch, how we set up the stage, how it was organized, it was a themed event, how we made people have an experience. That's what we are supposed to be looking at. Even sound providing companies shouldn't be comfortable. Wakubukingani mabwela na sound rigianu, stage, malaiti, that's all. No, do more things. You know what I mean? It's not about having a lot of equipment. It's also about how you use the equipment on stage. You know, do more things now. Like, let's see things improve. I've been watching a lot of live concerts on YouTube, you know, from West Africa or even like Europe, America, wherever, South America, even just South Africa. You know, when you look at how people are working hard to just make every event look different, that's what we need, you know. I think we've been on this stage for the longest time now in Zambia, over 20 years doing the same things. Let's try to do more things now. So the next awards that we are going to see, let's see you beat the Christian Voice Awards. Simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do have a message from Vic, and Vic is saying that the thing you talked about where you mentioned Fali Pupa, which works like a form of regulation, doesn't ZAM do that when you register with them? And isn't it because you people, you pay? And then also another thing he asked is, do people you teach, do they pay you? And then he said you make a very good pair with Chef. He likes all the songs you've done with him.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I teach, actually. Like I mentioned, I've got young people that I'm, you know, helping, you know. They come to me as their father to ask for advice. Sometimes I sit in their productions in studio to advise. I don't teach singing or playing instruments as per se, but I am just like there, like your father, you know, giving you direction and, you know, sharing a bit of knowledge that I have with you. That thing about Fali Pupa and the card, yes, we pay membership at ZAM, but they don't do it the way Congolese do it. Because remember I said Congolese, if you have that card, then you're allowed to perform anywhere. Meaning that if you're an artist and you don't have that card, you won't be allowed to perform professionally. You can't get bookings in Congo. You can never get... So the Zambia Association of Musicians should work with the National Arts Council to make that possible. But right now, Zambia is a free market economy. So any artist can record from the bedroom. And, you know, some people now are creating songs using AI, and they'll go out there and perform. You can't stop them, you know. We need to find a way to implement such things that will bring a certain level of sanity in our industry, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't say we do that. We pay membership at ZAM, but we don't do it the way Congolese do it, yeah.
Actually, and speaking of AI, though, we did get to see, is it Stromae's song, Papa Ute, whereby we've heard an AI version of it. And
yeah.
Even the original one does have some soul to it, but it kind of felt like the AI had a certain sense of, like, you know, humanity to it, okay. Which is what
more
a number
than the original song.
To some extent, you know, even through the hallelujah at the end, you know, the choir, the drums, it made people feel like this is coming from the heart. And we have heard how AI doesn't have that human touch.
Yeah.
But more and more, I do believe there's another artist, Sienna Rose, who sings soul, and it sounds like it's human. Yeah. So when it comes to musicians such as yourself, whereby I would say the soul as well of the music, you can hear it from the words. Do you think possibly AI can co-opt what you do?
So AI is still learning. Like, it keeps learning every day, you know. Remember that it uses songs and music that is already out here. Mm-hmm. So when you put in your command, let's say there's a program called Suno. That's what a lot of people use. When you put in your command and say, okay, so I want you to create a song, and the leading voice should be male, and it should sound like James Sakala, it will search for all James Sakala songs. And when it finds what it's looking for, it will get and use that. Right now, I've tried to do that, actually, like sing like James Sakala, and the James Sakala that came out, yo.
There's John Sakala.
I was like, nah.
It was Shekinah Sakala.
It was Shekinah Sakala.
Another Sakala.
My young sister. You know, it was just another Sakala. Maybe it was a Sakala.
Sakala, yeah?
Sakala. You know, but AI keeps improving every day. You know, it's funny that you've mentioned about how AI doesn't have that human feel in it. I've been saying that. I've been saying, unfortunately, AI is not the future of music. But I think the past few days, I'm rethinking everything I said, and I want to apologize to people. Because AI is improving every day. You know, if you listen to the songs that are coming out now, you would actually think it's a person, you know, but like properly done, you know. And someone will tell you, we actually need AI, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh, wow, okay. So AI keeps learning every day. There's one thing that we have in my type of music that a lot of people in their genres don't have in Kalindula. Something that we call ukufuefuetela. It's like a one step off, split second off beat in singing, you know. And that is not, you can't, even on Cubase, like when you are plotting, what's that program that we use sometimes? What's that
FL Studio?
No, FL Studio.
Okay.
FL, Fruity Loops. In Fruity Loops, a few years ago, you couldn't plot that one step off beat because it's a natural thing. It's an African thing, like an African rhythm. So you had to just play ngoma with your hands and then you put other instruments on it. But now, I see a situation where AI is catching on to that. Very soon, AI will be able to do that, trust me. But right now, that's what's separating us from the rest of the artists. So it's difficult for you to make a song, a Kalindula song on AI right now. But trust me, in a few years, AI will be doing that. Because it's learning every day.
Have you ever considered possibly incorporating AI into music?
Well, not really. I'm trying to see if, because right now there's a lot of debate out there, you know. There's a debate about copyright, that now you can't copyright anything that you've created with AI. You know, it doesn't belong to anyone. So anyone who you can make a hit song and, you know, and anyone can recreate it and name it, you know, and own it, you know, anyone can use it on an advert. You can't go and claim anywhere to say, no, they used my song, because it's an AI song, you know, it's public domain. So that's the reason why right now I'm like, do I want to use AI? No, maybe let me wait, you know. Maybe when things are properly put together, and especially that in Zambia, our policies don't really protect our artists. Like, it's crazy, eh? It's crazy. So using AI will be a disadvantage for you as an artist. It's better you create your song. If it means just recording with your guitar, acoustic, and record, and, you know, at least you are going to own everything that you've created there. Yeah.
As we're nearing towards the end of our conversation, what policies would you suggest that would really protect you as an artist and making sure that you are at least well fended off, looking at the fact that you do Kalindula music, but which is a little bit new school. Yeah. Back in the days when I picked Chala, there was nothing like social media. There was nothing like that. But now, looking at how things are advanced now, you have social media to your advantage. How can government now come in place to make sure that you are well protected, and we are seeing you being pushed on the international market as well?
I think what we've been crying for as artists in Zambia is monetization. It's actually creatives, you know, whether you are a content creator, whether you sing, whether you are a filmmaker, we've been crying for monetization. If that can be sorted out, that would help this industry a lot, you know. A lot of people talk about how no, Zambia taturi bengi, we are just 20 million, you are not going to make money. It's not Zambia alone, especially that you've mentioned social media. We don't make this music for the Zambian spaces alone, or movies for the Zambian spaces alone. No, it goes beyond, because social media is everywhere. You can sponsor your creativity, and you sponsor it to be seen in America. You know what I mean? So wherever you are in this world, you can create for whatever market you want. You can create, while you are here in Zambia, you can create content for China and sponsor it to be shown in China. You know what I mean? But if your content is not properly protected or monetized, then you won't make money. So I don't know what should happen or who should do what, who should call the shots, but that needs to happen soon, because we have a lot of content creators who are employed by what they create. And we are going to keep saying, no, Zambians are poor, Wafana, my youth is very serious. But you are ignoring something that should change their lives. You know what I mean? We've seen a lot of content creators, you know, achieving a lot out there, you know, buying houses, buying cars, you know, achieving a lot of big things, you know, because of what they create. Why shouldn't we do that for the content creators in Zambia? You know, so that's one thing that I want to see worked on. But also, we need music schools. I don't know what should happen. Maybe the government should, you know, build. You should start one. Well,
yeah, you can. We can start one.
we can. But you know, we need a government, you know, built school. You know,
yes,
government built, meaning high budget. Investment in a school. You know, a lot, all these other countries have. Yes. Remember I mentioned Zimbabwe has, Congo has, Malawi has.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Why don't we have such in Zambia? You know, we need a school where you can find everything. If you want to be a photographer, you can find photography. I know there's a Mascom here in Zambia. Yes. But I think a lot of people don't have confidence in that school. You know, I know a lot of people go there, and from there they go, most of them get employed at ZNBC. So I don't know if it was created for ZNBC. Anyway, we are not here to mention names. So yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question.
No, I think you have. Indeed, you have. And as we are wrapping up with our conversation today, where do you see your music in 5 years? Are we going to be seeing a little bit of AI?
I don't like that question.
Are we gonna...
But I'll answer the question.
Yes.
In 5 years, I just want more people to, you know, get on my music, enjoy my music, share it with other people, let my music grow. I want to see my music play outside Zambia, because I don't make it for the Zambian market alone. I know I sing in Bemba mostly, but for the longest time we've enjoyed Congolese music without understanding. The other day I was watching something on TikTok where a South African was saying, yo, Zambians are a vibe.
Yes,
you watched that, where he was saying, even a funeral song, they twerk to it in the club.
We don't know what they are saying.
They don't know what they are saying. Yes, exactly. Yes, you know. At the end of the day, music is music. Music doesn't have a language. Music is a language on its own, and it communicates to people the best way it wants to communicate. So you find that nyimbo ya maliro wenango kuja ku Malawi baikonda ya pitisa. They even play it at the birthday party. You know what I mean?
So come the birthday girl?
Yes. It's over. You know, at the end of the day, it's all about the vibe. So I want to see my music achieve such milestones. And also, I want to see a lot of young people who are coming into the music industry embrace their culture and their cultural music. Let's keep Zambia alive. And the best way we can keep Zambia alive is by embracing our culture and our customs, and also recreate our cultural music, you know. When Piket Shala, when Maenge Asoza, I know they are